Welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Athlete podcast. I'm here as your host, Joseph, here with Zach today. How's it going today?
Yeah, things are okay. Things are okay. My
Nice.
Timberwolves seem to be reeling right now, but we'll bounce back. Bounce back. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's been tricky for the T-Wolves because I think they got too comfortable. I really do. They came out lackadaisical the third game, and Denver just kind of caught them by storm. And then Anthony Edwards was the only player to show up yesterday in the game. Um, it's tough. Tough. Rudy Gobert, he's a fraud. I don't care what his plus and minus were. He's just not a good player. When he plays against like superior talent, you can see that he's not a superior talent. Like same thing with Karl Anthony Towns. Like it's like I was listening to I think it was Bill Simmons, and he was like, it's easy to average 25 points a game when you're going up against, you know, mediocre teams, 60, 60 games out of the 82 game calendar. But like when you start playing those tough teams, that's where it gets difficult. So stuff. Yeah, but today's topic is not gonna be basketball related, it's gonna be football. We're gonna talk about some good topics. I think this one's gonna be good. I think it's gonna add some lot of questions, kind of spinning off where we discussed from Caleb Williams yesterday, I guess last week. Shout out to all the new subscribers, by the way. Shout out to all the new viewers, the people who shared, people who supported the episode, as well as other ones. We appreciate it, and hopefully you keep on coming back. And hopefully we make content that makes you want to come back. Any suggestions, any questions that you guys have, like I said, as always, drop them in the chat. But let's get to our topic today, which is going to be about Brock Purdy. Um, I said the other day that Brock Purdy was the top five quarterback. So that has a lot of pushback on it. And I'm double downing on that. And I'm making a prediction. Brock Purdy will be the highest paid quarterback next offseason in 2025, going into 2025, 2026 season. Kind of want to start off just, giving up my case for that real quick. First off, Brock Purdy has, excuse me, has won a division 2 years in a row at him. Secondly, he's made it to the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. He's only been started twice, by the way. Thirdly, he made it to the Super Bowl this year, lost on the game-winning drive. Some people say it was his fault. Some other, would say that it's not. And then lastly, he had an All-Pro season last year, and as well as him being a MVP candidate last year. So I know he wasn't All-Pro technically. His stats did held up to it though, and I think. And then going off of the news that we got today, which is Jared Goff being the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL, getting a $53 million a year extension. Um, that also plays into it because Purdy just beat this guy in the NFC Championship game last year, came back from 17 down, and he's the second highest paid quarterback. So you mean to tell me that he can't get paid higher than that guy? And the guy that is in front of him, Joe Burrow. Oh yeah, Joe Burrow's look at Joe Burrow's resume. Two AFC Championship, or sorry, yeah, two AFC Championship games, 1-on-1 in those. Kind of similar to Brock Purdy. So we kind of look at it from those type of angles. And when you see that quarterbacks in this market, they're not getting paid. Quarterbacks, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but quarterbacks are not getting paid based on like based on how they're performing statistically, like in relation to like NBA contracts are like kind of like incentive based, how your stats are looking. With the NFL and specifically with the quarterback, it's how your team is doing and how you are helping your team succeed. And I think with all that being said, with all that in question, and just not even counting on what he's gonna do this year, just based upon what he's done already with his resume, I see no question that Purdy will be the highest paid quarterback next offseason.
You laid out a lot there in detail, Joseph.
Well, yeah, I mean, where do you want to start? I mean,
Well,
I'm just giving my case on why he is. You have already stated your opinion that you don't think that he's gonna he is deserving of that. So I'm just letting you know, like, hey, this is my
I
case.
just feel like if he does get the contract that you're suggesting, that he'll end up with. It's like a Carson Wentz situation, like for me, or it's like a Jared Goff situation when he was with the Rams, because the Rams paid Jared Goff because of similar things. He had gone to Super Bowl. Um, he really changed the narrative on Jared Goff, but I think the Rams recognized, hey, there's a ceiling here with this guy, and it went from, hey, we paid him, to, oh my gosh, this is a terrible contract in about a year. So I just think the Lions are going to end up there as well, because if you tell me that division, your what if scenario last week based off, hey, the Caleb Williams can make the Super Bowl. If that happens, Jared Goff doesn't make the Super Bowl, so that makes the contract worse in my opinion. The Packers, I think, are a team to beat in that division, and just talent wise, if you watch him and Jordan Love, like you can't tell me he's better than Jordan Love. So I'll take the Packers to beat him in that division as well.
Are we talking Jared Goff right
I'm, Jared Goff, yeah. I'm just saying. I think the Lions are going to regret this one. Like because he's the second highest paid quarterback right now.
now? Yeah.
Only Burrow gets paid higher. I mean, I have my criticism of Joe Burrow, but even myself, I can acknowledge, hey, there's a huge difference between what Joe Burrow can do and what Jared Goff can do.
So
Uh,
what do you think? And we'll get back to the Purdy conversation, but I think this is kind of a summary question of all of it. What do teams do if you find your guy, you're making it to the playoffs consistently, you just won your
yeah,
division for the first time in 30 years? Like, what are the Lions supposed to do here? Are they supposed to say, "Hey, Goff, we want you to prove it again to us"? Like what would you do if you're in their shoes?
I would hope I have a relationship where he understands you have a ceiling, sir. You're not you're not Joe Burrow. You're not tier one of the quarterbacks. You're down tier 4 or 5 with Dak Prescott's and like um that group, Kirk Cousins. Like he's that group. Can he be the best quarterback? I told you that group is fine. It's not like I'm saying, hey, you shouldn't get
Yeah,
paid.
that tier B group you said.
Um, but they can be the best quarterback on any given Sunday. I'll acknowledge that. Like Jared Goff can outplay Patrick Mahomes, right? Like we saw week 1 last year. Like I can acknowledge that he is able to do that. Now the problem comes, I think, when you get to those tier 1 guys like a Burrow, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar. I think those guys are the best quarterback in the NFL half the football games they play in or more. And I think like for that, the NFL should acknowledge, hey, there's a discrepancy, like because we don't want to end up like the NBA where, Bradley Beal is the highest paid player in the NBA. He's trash.
Yeah.
I think that's bad for the product, because even as a fan base, you're watching the NBA, you're like, Bradley Beal's not the first best player on his team. He's not a top 10, 15, 20. You're like, he's not a top 30 player in the NBA, and he's getting paid like he's a
I could
top
probably
5
name
player in the NBA.
30 better players than
And yeah, and like I think that's what you don't want. And I think props to, it's hard to do that. I acknowledge that it's hard to do that, because if you look at the Reds when they were the Redskins, Commanders now, right? They had RG3. He didn't do get his next contract, obviously, but Kirk Cousins did, right? Kirk Cousins, they didn't want to pay him because, like, hey, there's a ceiling to what he can do here. Franchise, and they allow him to go into free agency, and that's when he signed that huge deal guaranteed with the Vikings. The Vikings were like, hey, we can't keep doing this. And they went to the draft, and they're trying to, find out if this guy, McCarthy, can be better than Kirk Cousins, right? And I think it's a huge risk that you're facing, especially when the guy's still going out there playing and he signs a massive contract. So their careers are going to be, compared with for McCarthy's entire career, right? At least the time Kirk Cousins in the NFL. So
so
I don't know.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because I'm kind of in defense of the Lions here. And
Sure.
back to the Purdy point in a few minutes here, but I want to focus on here because this is a kind of bigger picture to just the overall QB market that we're facing in the NFL, where we see guys getting paid and
Yeah.
paid. I don't know if I would have
Deshaun Watson.
like Baker Mayfield if he would have went to free agency. Like how many teams would have really offered him a contract? You know,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
it's
You
really
you figure
hard.
maybe the Vikings, maybe
But
like, but we're talking maybes, and these are like
Yeah.
3 out of 10 possible, 30%
And we
possibility,
saw
25% possibility.
Kirk Cousins go
Yeah.
to the free agent market. He's like he betted on himself, kind of, and he he got went to the Falcons, got paid $100 million. But what do the Falcons do? They say, hey, we are so unsure that the quarterback position, like we are so like we just don't have confidence in the QB position right now in the NFL that we are going to double down on a quarterback. Like that's what's
Yeah.
happening right now with the NFL. And I think teams are just saying, "Hey, we got to find the next Patrick Mahomes. We got to find the next Patrick Mahomes." That was the whole thing over the past 3 seasons in the past 3 years in the offseason and the draft. We saw so many Patrick Mahomes comparison, and you kind of noticed that the Patrick Mahomes comparisons kind of stopped, even with Caleb Williams. Like they just kind of stopped because I think the media and also the team are just realizing, hey, we find a guy that can take us, that can win us divisions, that can take us to the NFC Championship game, a la Jared Goff. We got to hold on to him because it's hard to keep a QB carousel all the time and keep a happy fan base all the time. I think it's easier to manage a fan base that is upset that their team is not getting past the NFC Championship game or divisional round than never making the playoffs. Like you look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys fans, they think they're going to win the Super Bowl every single year. And why is that? Because they're always competitive. They're always making the playoffs. They're always in the hunt to make the playoffs. And if they aren't, they're always around that 500 range, all right? Opposed
Well,
to
talk about the. Can we hold up? Can we
go ahead.
just stay on the Cowboys?
Go
Because
ahead.
I like what the Cowboys are doing because they're doing the same thing Kirk Cousins, what the Vikings did. Like for they could have saved themselves a lot of money, right? Uh, by signing Dak to an extension, but they're like, hey, there's a ceiling here, and we're not just going to keep paying you because you're the next man up.
Okay, so
And I personally I
let's
love
stay
it
here.
as a if I was a Cowboys fan because
Let's stay here. Let's stay
every year
here.
he messes up.
What if Dak Prescott, because you already know this is bound to happen.
Like
Dak Prescott starts off the season. I mean, we gotta wait for the schedules to be released, obviously. But
Joseph,
start
I
the
could see them
season
going to the I could see them
eight
going to the NFC
eight and
Championship
0
game.
or 10 and 0,
Yeah,
and then they go 13-3, 13 or I guess 13-4,
yeah.
and then they make the divisional round. The Cowboys are in a position where they're gonna have to pay him the highest paid quarterback. Like they're gonna have to beat Jared Goff's contract. They just are because of what he's
Oh yeah,
done
100.
in
Yeah,
previous years, right?
either that or let him
And
walk
on top of that, what he did this year for you guys, making it to the division round is not an easy task. All because, and we keep on going back to
for
this, like these
for
rookie
Dak. It is.
quarterbacks. These rookie quarterbacks are making it seem like it's super easy. We see CJ Stroud, we see Brock Purdy. Like it's not supposed to be this easy. Like, and I'm gonna steal what you said. Like from last episode
But even those guys are too. Go ahead.
it's no. I'm just saying we don't want to get into like a deja vu effect where we're just like, oh, like we need this to happen all the time. Or we see a rookie quarterback have success. Oh, we can judge the rookie quarterback. They can emulate they can emulate that same success over and over again. So when we
No,
look at that angle, I think the Cowboys are gonna have no choice but to pay Dak if they make it to the playoffs. If they win a playoff game, they're for sure gonna have to play him. I mean, pay him. They are just for sure gonna have to pay him.
well, I
Otherwise,
think
they're gonna get
that's
to a
what Jerry Jones is
position.
counting on. I think Jerry Jones would love it if Dak Prescott went to the NFC Championship game. I don't think he has to win the Super Bowl. Just get to the championship game, and Jerry Jones would be like, okay, cool. Like this is a guy we can now pay type deal. I think they'll work out with because they got to pay him, they got to pay Lamb, they got to pay Parsons, right? Like so,
Yeah,
I acknowledge that, right? But I just don't know, man, because you have. I mean, you're one, for example. You criticize Josh Allen, and he does a whole lot more for his team than Jared Goff does for
I
his
agree.
or Dak does for his, right? And if you look at the contracts, like where does he get paid off of what these guys get? It's not the same. But I get it. Like it just shows you that I guess the dollar value doesn't really tell me who's good and who's not. Like and I think that's what the NBA does somewhat right. Like we can know, okay, this guy gets paid 40 million a year. He's good, unless he's Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine type deal.
Yeah.
Like,
So let's kind of spin it back a little bit because I know. people don't want to hear about the Cowboys. People hate the Cowboys getting all the
Yeah,
attention.
that's fine. Me, yeah, us too. I
Um,
just brought him up just for contract
with
purposes, but
with the whole Brock Purdy situation, you're now kind of, I mean, Niners can't sign him right now. They can't do anything right now until
next year,
until
right?
their season. Um, wow. But there's some breaking news in the NBA, but we want to talk about the
Ooh,
NFL right now.
okay.
But with the whole Brock Purdy situation, I think there just needs to be some type of discussion. Okay, if Brock Purdy is getting paid, is does get a Jared Goff contract because he's on pace to get a 5 year 285 deal. That's kind of what they're expecting him to make next year.
Holy moly!
5 year 285.
I get it. I get it. He's next
But
up. So yeah,
when was the last time the Niners had a quarterback to take them to consecutive NFC title games?
I don't know. Did Kaepernick do it?
I don't think Kaepernick. Okay, Kaepernick may have done it, but even when Kaepernick did do it, he was remember he got that huge contract.
Maybe not actually, because it was
But
Alex
I don't
Smith
think
who
Kaepernick
did it
did
the
it. I
first
think they
year,
made
and then they
it
went
to the
back with
Super Bowl.
Kaepernick. They went to the
I
NFC
remember they lost to the
Championship game,
Saints.
right?
They lost to the Saints, and then the year the Saints lost to the Rams. Remember this in that controversial call? I think that was the
Yeah.
year that the Niners lost to them. Actually, no, no. That's a long time ago. But neither here nor there. When you find a guy, and Brock Purdy's young, relatively young, 25, 26 years old at that time that he'd be signing that deal next year. You're saying, okay, I have a guy for the next 5 years who gets the system and who at the best can get us to the Super Bowl. All right. Like at the best can get us to the Super Bowl because we've seen him do it. So he can do it again. All right. And we've seen his ceiling get us to the NFC Championship games in his first 2 seasons that he started. We've seen him bounce back games. We've seen him, go 21-6 career record. And when you look at his talent, when you look at his skill set, there are tons of limitations that he has. But he makes up those limitations with his ability to like think on his feet, like having that what's the word Tom Brady says it all the time, anticipation, having that anticipation, like being able to kind of see something before it happens. Brock Purdy does that probably with the best of them in the NFL at throwing the ball. So when you look at it from that perspective, I think Purdy does deserve to get paid. But to your point, to kind of bring an argument against him, I guess do you think the NFL does create some type of cap level for these
Oh heck
positions?
no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So
They are the ultimate. They are the ultimate American sport
cap, yeah,
where it's literally capitalism,
yeah.
like at its finest, and supply and demand is super important. I think we saw a whole bunch of backup quarterbacks last year who were trash, and when you're comparing that to, I'm sorry to be rude about those guys. They tried their best,
Well, like
but
Joe Flacco,
there was some awful quarterback play last year.
I mean, and he was amongst the
But
back,
so when you're
best of the back
you're
quarterback. We go ahead.
yeah, and then before Goff got there, I do think it's important to note that they did have Stafford, and Stafford didn't give them the success that Goff is getting them. So I understand, and plus you just signed Amon St. Brown, so you probably made some um, guarantees to him where, hey, this is going to be your quarterback while you're here, type deal, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and there, I guess what's the goal? I guess can he win a Super Bowl? I think that's my thing.
So
I
let's
don't
do
think he
this.
can. So that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, Joseph, not everyone can. So I understand paying him. When it comes to Purdy, he's going to be the one who's going to really break the bank. Because I think for him too, Joseph, where he's different, and tell me if this is wrong or not. He's a seventh round pick, so he's not getting paid like first round or second round quarterback money. So them giving him this money on a new deal is saying, "Hey, thanks for being our starting quarterback for the past few years too." And I don't know if that's how you do business or not, but it's going to be interesting. I'll give you that, and I hope he gets it because the Niners, I think they do have a solid quarterback. He's really good. I can give him that.
So yeah, and that was gonna be my question is like, what if like they don't like what if the Niners have a year where they make the playoffs but they lose in the first round type of thing. Like, does he still get that contract where he's the highest paid quarterback, or does he get like a 3 year, $100 million contract?
I mean, we should spend a whole episode on the what if the Niners do that because I think at that
I mean,
time you do got to blow it up,
it's very
right?
possible
Like
that
Debo, they
happens.
talked about trading Debo and Brandon Ayuk this year, and
So
they
let's talk
drafted a
about
wide
this.
receiver in the first round. McCaffrey's going to be 29,
Yeah,
like so.
let's do this.
Like Kittle's old, like they're going to
What
rethink some things.
do we see the Niners making it past the first round next?
Oh, I do.
I mean, yeah, but let's say hypothetically, let's say they don't. Let's say the Niners make the playoffs but lose in the first round. Or yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah,
Losing the
let's say the Cowboys beat them in the wild card,
I mean,
right? That's a realistic possibility.
listen, Niner fans, you guys know that that would never happen. We own the
Well,
Cowboys,
no, but it's
but
yeah, but they beat them like
what
100
if
straight times.
scenarios?
Eventually, every dog has its day. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I'm just
No. So if that does happen, what happens? Because then you have that type of domino effect you're talking about, where
yeah,
we got to pay Brandon Ayuk. Oh, what are we going to do with Debo? Debo's contract is pretty much we can get rid of it. Next offseason. Trent Williams is he gonna is Trent Williams gonna come back? Is he gonna retire? Right, because he's getting old, right? McCaffrey? What are we gonna do with McCaffrey? Because we're gonna have to extend McCaffrey next offseason as well. George Kittle, we're probably gonna move off of George Kittle if that does happen because he's been hurt. He gets too many injuries. Okay, so where does that leave Brock Purdy?
but
Okay,
these guys just they seem like lifers though for me.
they do.
Like that's a
This is why this scenario is so hard to predict.
yeah.
But it's also one of those things where I
It
kind of want to discuss like this can't happen because this is the NFL. We've seen it happen before, right? We
yeah.
seen with Aaron Rodgers his final season in Green Bay, where I mean he looked like the man the past few seasons, and then his last year he kind of took a down spiral, and they didn't make the playoffs, and
Well, they had
that kind
drafted
of
Love, so that was like
well, I'm just talking about just like the unexpected happening in the NFL. Like, no, I mean, come on, now, you would not have said that the Packers were gonna lose to the Lions in the last game to make the playoffs. You just wouldn't have. But
well,
that's
yeah, but I mean, I'm saying Joseph, like if you look at this Niners roster, there's not like there's not a player who I wouldn't expect. Like
you
if
wouldn't.
Debo Samuels got traded, I would be shocked. Brandon who got traded, I'd probably be less shocked. I know people are like, hey, after the draft, Debo's the one to go based off who they got, but um, for me, I think per Saul, I don't know. I just feel like it's more of a Brandon Ayuk type. Hey, this is a receiver here versus a gadget guy like Debo is. For me, that's just how I envision it. I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but so I just I don't know. It's hard. Who would they move off of if they want to save some money? I would probably think they'd get
I
rid
mean,
of
for
somebody on the
sure.
defense
I'm
versus
not.
getting rid of all these offensive guys that Shanahan's in love with. Like I
So
feel like Kittle's gonna be at Shanahan. I don't know if Shanahan has children, but if Shanahan's children has a wedding, I think Brock Purdy's there. I think Debo's there. McCaffrey's for sure there. Kittle's there. Like I think all these guys are closer than just a football team.
Hargrave,
In
I think
right?
Hargrave's probably the probably get
Those
rid
are,
of Hargrave. They'll probably get rid of
I
Hargrave.
think those are the guys I think those are the
Hargrave
guys who
probably get Hargrave is most likely gone next year.
like
Just looking at their cap history right now for the new year. Eric Armstead, he's most likely. Oh, he's on the. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. He's on the Jaguars. They
he's
got rid.
already gone. Yeah.
So,
Like
I,
that's why I think that's where they would go.
yeah, I more aligned to what you're saying. Where like Kittle, Debo, the people that keep that locomotive going, those are the people that are going to be more inclined to stay. The people are just kind of there, but they're kind of just filling up the coal. Those are the people that are going to be gone. Like Hargrave, most likely going to be gone. Fred Warner is not going nowhere. Trent Williams, he's going to be 37 next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we talk about that? Like, how long is this guy going to play for at a number one rated PFF tackle, level? Like,
Well,
how long does he have? Because I mean, he's legit the best left tackle in the game right now that exists in the NFL.
well, he
And
signed through 2027, so
yeah,
he ain't going
that's what I was
nowhere.
going to get to. He's actually 40 years old nearly.
Yeah,
And
but
when look,
tackles do that, Joseph.
we've seen tackles, do that for a long time. We've seen Orlando Pace play till he's 38. We've seen Brown from the Ravens back in the day played till he was 30 in his late 30s. So we've seen Jason Peters do it. The guy on the Niners, Tyron Smith, so we've seen it happen before, but this is his level of play is not where they were at their it just wasn't. This guy, Trent Williams, is one of the best players in the NFL, just players. So when you look at it from that perspective, there's just a lot of different things that the Niners can do here, where it's just like this season it doesn't have the last dance type of feel to it. That's more of the following year, the 2025 year, where a lot of players are on their last deals. But this could be a precursor to that, like saying like, okay, this is like kind of like Debo. I think Debo is either going to get a restructured deal next year or he's going to be gone. Like there's no way they're going to go into the new year with a what is this, a 15, I guess a $24 million cap hit. There's just no way that that's going to happen the following year in 2025 because they're going to have to pay Ayuk. Ayuk's cap hit is going to be probably that amount or most likely more than that. And then
Hmm.
you factor in Kittle's. You just there's just too many things in the way where you're just like, all right, who's
Well, they
really?
don't have to pay Purdy until 26.
Yeah, but Purdy's gonna. I mean, come on, Zach. Purdy's gonna. Well, Purdy's gonna want to get paid though.
But I don't know if they can based off. Let me see. Let me see.
So I think what can happen is, and we're not cap experts. So if you're a cap expert and you're in the comments looking at this, please explain. But I think they can pay him, but his contract won't start until that 26 season, right? Because his contract is still he's still getting paid up until I want to say 2026. I'm 2025.
Okay, so at the end of this year, Purdy's eligible for an extension, so
Yeah.
they can talk to him then.
So, but what I'm saying is they're gonna give him a. I mean, come on, Zach. They're gonna give him a signing bonus. They're gonna have to give
Oh,
him.
he's gonna get a massive deal.
So
Like I think
so
you're 60 million a year. Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. They're gonna have to have at least $100 million in cash to get to this guy. That's gonna hit his account, and that's at least that's minimum. So to get that, they're gonna have to get rid of some of these guys. I think.
Now the crazy thing is though, I know we're talking, hey, these are high numbers and everything, but if you're John Lynch, GM, helping to make this contract happen, right? Would you go into the room? I mean, I feel like you got to have a calculator or something, some type of discussion with him. Hey, if we pay you this money, just know you're not going to be handing off the ball to McCaffrey. You're going to be handing off the ball to a third round rookie running back. These are the guys we're looking at. Hey, if we pay you this money, you're not going to have Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Ricky
Yeah.
Pearsall. One of
So
them's got to go, and this is what we're thinking. Like
I don't.
it's got to be. I know it's like not supposed to.
So and
Like your
and this,
dollars don't affect that, but I mean, it's gotta. And he couldn't win Super Bowl with these guys in their prime. Man, it's
this is and this is my thing with Purdy. I think Purdy is that guy.
if they win a
Purdy
Super
is
Bowl
that
this year,
guy.
Joseph, it makes sense.
Purdy is that guy who's going to take a hometown discount. I just know it. Like he's not gonna be that guy that's gonna be like, oh, I want to be the highest paid player. Like to
Well,
me,
I don't think he. If you pay him the highest paid, if we say, hey, you're no longer having Christian McCaffrey, you have a third round rookie. Do you feel the same way about Brock Purdy?
no, I would not. As a fan, I would not. I would say that this guy is gonna be at best 8 wins by himself. Like at best. I
Hold on. Don't just. We might hold you to this, so let's calm down a little bit.
no.
You're
No.
saying Brock Purdy just alone when he starts, he's good for 8 wins. Book him in for 8 wins.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
All right, we got to do a list of wins list because I'm curious where the heck you rank these other guys.
Wait. Is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? I mean, Jared Goff by himself, I think he gets. I mean, we could look at Jared Goff what he did without. I mean, his first few years in on the Lions, he did what 3 games, maybe 4 games, and then that following year he had like 7 games, 8 games. So I mean, I think it's, I think it's, I think if you take out Debo, if you take out Kittle, if you take out um McCaffrey, but you still give him Ayuk, you still give him some well
Because how
respected
many wins they have last year?
Niners. I think they won
What, 13?
12 or 13
12?
games.
Okay. Whatever it was last year. Like half of those, McCaffrey's good for 6 of those wins for you. And then Debo,
My
I'll
thing is,
give Debo a couple wins. Like I don't think Purdy's as good as you're saying he is, but that's
I
that's just me.
and okay,
That's what
so
I'm saying.
can you tell me why though? Why is that the case? Why do you think Purdy's
Because
not
I
good?
watched the games. Did you watch him versus was it Chicago? Was it Chicago? It was the one with the rain. It was raining really bad.
That was Chicago. That was the game
And
early in
he
the season where the rookie missed the field goal, and that kind of
okay.
started the streak.
And then if you go and then I remember him in Minnesota.
He looked bad. Defense also looked
Like
bad, but he looked bad.
we're strictly talking Purdy here. We're not talking to anyone else.
The Ravens game, he
Like
looked
it's just come
just
on.
made a lot of bad plays.
Oh,
That's
that
what,
that was awful.
but no, the Ravens game, I mean, statistically, he had a good game. It's just he made a lot. He made more
Did
bad
he throw
plays,
like 3 interceptions?
and he threw like 2 pick sixes that game too.
Like, what are you talking about? He had a good
Four
stat game.
interceptions,
Like, let's
four
let's
interceptions
calm
that game.
down. Like you
255.
overreact.
But I don't know. I've seen him.
Purdy,
Give me the
Purdy.
exactly. I've seen we saw Jimmy G. What Jimmy G did.
Yeah, exactly. He did the same thing that Purdy's doing.
So you're saying Jimmy G is on the same level as Purdy?
Yeah,
I don't think so, man.
yeah.
I
And we saw
because
when Purdy went to the
because
Raiders, and what did he do? What did he do with the Raiders?
Jimmy G didn't come back from games like Purdy does. Purdy came back from two deficits in the playoffs. Two deficits in the playoffs this playoffs. Against the
Jimmy
Pack,
G never coming back.
against the Lions.
Jimmy G
He
never came back. Jimmy G had to come back before.
I can't
They went to
I
Super
can't
Bowl.
recall.
Didn't they go to Super Bowl with him? There's no way. Like they went to Super Bowl. They won a bunch of playoff
The
games. They're in the
only game
NFC
I
Championship
remember them
every
coming back,
year
the only
with
game I
Jimmy
remember them
G.
coming back
Okay,
in,
so yeah, I thought he did.
the only game I remember them coming back in was the Green Bay Packers game.
They're the same player, dude.
But it was off of a block punt. Like that was
It's
one
the
of my
same.
Jimmy
They're
G's
the
not the
same
same player
guys.
as Brock Purdy though.
They're the same guys.
Brock Purdy is a better player than Jimmy G. We've seen it,
So
exactly.
okay, how
You can't
far
tell me
did he
that.
go? Actually Jimmy G might be better. I think that's probably a better argument because he went up against
This guy's
Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, all in their prime, and he had a lead in that game. If not for his coach like mishandling the play calling, like Jimmy G wins that game versus an elite Kansas City Chiefs. Brock Purdy played a down Kansas City Chiefs without Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, who's seen better days. Their best receiver was a rookie, Rashee Rice, and he lost that game. So
because
I mean,
come on. I mean, you could
like
you
I'm no,
you could put
it's
that loss on
it's
coaching.
literally
You could put that you could put that loss on a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Steve
Put
Wilkes
it on Purdy.
blitzing every single play. I mean, come
Win the
on.
game, Purdy.
I mean, come on, Zachary. That game was not. That game was more on Steve Wilkes than it was
They
on.
were closer to winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy G than they were with Brock
And
Purdy.
also, they missed a
I
block.
said it.
They missed a block.
Yeah,
So I mean, there was a.
yeah.
I
You
think
know
when
why? Because Jimmy G has his guys focused, and they would not have allowed that.
I think what my thing is with with the Purdy argument, and this is where we can kind of end the conversation because it looks like we're gonna agree to disagree. But my thing is this: Purdy has proven that he can go up against good talent and compete with the good talent. He competed with Patrick Mahomes. He competed with the guy from the Lions, Jared Goff. He competed with Jordan Love. So he competes against who he plays with, who he goes up against.
And so did
And
Jimmy. I'm just saying, man.
it's no, Jimmy G didn't, because Jimmy G had a lot more mistakes than Purdy is.
He
I mean,
beat
you can look
Cousins.
back at it and say,
I'm looking at the quarterbacks. I'm looking at you're like he beat elite quarterbacks. Cool. My guy Jimmy G, he beat Kirk Cousins. He beat Aaron Rodgers. Who else is on
so
here?
okay, so those Niner games against the
Dak,
Niner games, those
another
that
Aaron
was more
Rodgers.
coaching. That was more coaching. That was more team level wins versus Jimmy G winning. I'm just being honest.
I think
Like
you're trying to
I
be a
would
hater
even
here
say
on
I
Jimmy
would
G.
even say the Brock Purdy win against the Packers this playoffs time was more coaching than than Purdy. I would just would. Now the Purdy Lions comeback, that was an all-time comeback. And the reason why I think you're
That
disrespecting,
was that more about the was that more about Purdy or was that more about uh terrible coaching by the Lions?
I think it was more about Purdy. Because you have to
The
execute.
dude went for it on fourth down every chance. If he
You
kicked
have
some
to
field goals, they
execute.
win
You
the
have
game.
to execute. You have to execute.
Nah, man, you
You
can't
have to
do
execute.
that. You
Football is a
can't.
game of
You're
execution.
over here.
But let
You're
me
over
talk.
here
Let me
making.
bring up this
I look.
final point.
Yeah, bring him some final points because you're
If
lying.
you if you talk to Niner fans, talk to old guys like people who've been watching football for like the past like 40 years, longer than us, 50 years, they tell you that Purdy reminds them of who? The one and only Joe Montana. Like
Yeah,
that's what
because they're
people
drunk.
say. People say that, and it's not me saying that. Like I can't say that and be confident in my statement because I've never watched Montana play live. Like I've seen highlights and Montana's the goat, one of the goats, but like I can't say, oh, he is as good as Joe Montana. 'Cause I never watched him play. So I just can't. But what I can say is people have been comparing this guy to Joe Montana because he's done so many things that are Joe Montana like the comebacks, the the fourth down conversions, the third down conversions, the 3rd and 20 conversions. I mean, Purdy does a lot more than what you gave him the credit for. Only losing 6 games in 2 seasons is remarkable. I mean, it just is. So when you look at it from that perspective, Purdy is going to be the highest paid quarterback, whether you like it or not. The only thing is, will Purdy want to be that, like to our point earlier, or is he going to want to make it so it's financially smart for him not to be the highest paid player? It's
I don't
more.
know. Well, I think what we have to acknowledge, Joseph, and I think what you're failing to realize when you overhype a player like you're doing for Purdy, I think you're really, really doing a disservice because you're supposed to be a Niner fan. If you're a true Niner fan, and I can tell you aren't, you don't know the history. Kyle Shanahan, when he got there, he was trash. Like, let's say what it is.
That's why
All
I'm
the
saying
cards on the
that's
table.
why that's my point
I'm
of.
getting, I'm getting somewhere, Joseph. I let you talk. Let me talk. Then, uh, Tom Brady went to his owner and he said, "Get this guy off the team." The owner calls him Bill, says, "Get this guy off the team." Bill says, "You know what? I'll get him off the team, but I'm gonna trade him to my friend Kyle." He calls up Kyle and John and said, "Hey, you guys want this guy? Just give us a second. You'll be fine. Trust me, it's a great deal for you." They trade him, and Kyle Shanahan has been looking like a Hall of Fame coach ever since that man started. They went from a trash can, the bottom seller in the draft to hey, who's going to be our quarterback to starting Jimmy G, and they went out. They went ended up going to the Super Bowl. They ended up going to the NFC Championship game every other year type deal, and we're seeing similar success, man, and it's probably because these guys aren't like trash at quarterbacks. They're mediocre, slightly above average sometimes. But it works for when you have all that talent. When you take that talent away and you put Jimmy G with the Raiders, where you don't have Christian McCaffrey, where you don't have a Debo Samuel and a Brandon Ayuk, you don't have a Kittle, he gets benched.
So
He gets
okay,
benched,
I totally
and
understand.
not like
Okay, I get where you're coming from. I acknowledge it, but there's a asterisk that you didn't mention, and that is Jimmy G was not Kyle Shanahan's choice. He was not. He didn't say, "Oh, I want Kyle Shanahan." No,
neither did Brock Purdy.
what what happened was what
Hold
happened
on, hold on,
was
hold on, hold on, hold on. Brock Purdy was
no. Brock
okay,
Purdy was an
okay.
accident. No,
Okay,
I'm
because
not.
keep in mind they traded a
No, no,
second
no, no.
round
You're
pick for
just
Jimmy
talking about.
Garoppolo, Joseph.
We're talking about.
They drafted Purdy in the seventh round.
We're talking
They
about.
didn't know that guy was gonna be good. They thought he was gonna be trash. They drafted him in the
Yeah,
seventh round.
yeah, but we're talking about the QB
The way
history.
you change narratives, man.
No, we're talking. No, you brought up. I didn't know about the QB history of the 49ers, so I'm bringing
Yeah,
up
tell the truth.
because they wanted Kirk Cousins to begin with, but they didn't get him because they panicked and they traded for Jimmy G midway through the season when he started off like 0-10 or something like that. So I think there is a lot more to say on what Jimmy G did versus versus what Kyle Shanahan wanted. Kyle Shanahan, remember, they had the number 2 overall pick that year that he became the coach. He didn't draft a
Another.
quarterback.
Oh, it's when they had Bosa.
Yeah, when they got Nick Bosa, yeah. But they didn't have the quarterback. They could have, they should have, but he decided to go all in and wait for Kirk Cousins. Then the following year happened, and he was probably getting pressure from Jay York saying, "Hey man, we're 0-10 or 0-9, whatever the case may be. We need to get some wins. Patriots are they got Jimmy G on the block. Let's go ahead and trade. Let's go ahead and trade for him. They trade for Jimmy G. Kyle Shanahan, under duress, keeps Jimmy G. Jimmy G ends up doing well and kind of destroys his plans of getting Kirk Cousins. Then we see the downside of Jimmy G in later years as they make it to the Super Bowl, they make it to the NFC Championship game, they make it to the playoffs consistently. And then what does Kyle Shanahan do? He said, okay, we need a real quarterback in here. So let's draft Trey Lance. But you know what? And but you know what? That does not go well. Apparently, this has yet to be fact. This has yet to be kind of like 100% proven. But Mac Jones was the guy that Kyle Shanahan wanted.
And that's another thing. The
This was
lies that come
something.
out of that city. That's why I can't be a Niner fan, dude. The lies that come out of that city.
What
Like,
the Mac Jones? I mean, no.
because somebody went on
Shanahan's
TV.
lips.
Chris Sims, he's Kyle Shanahan's good friend. He went on TV talking about Ricky Pearsall was the guy that Kyle wanted. You know why? Because Kyle Shanahan has final decision on who they draft. So which one is it, Joseph? Is it the fact that Kyle Shanahan has final decision, or did he really want?
I don't necessarily agree. That could have changed since Adam Peters has left. Because Adam Peters left, so that could have changed. Adam Peters is gone, so because the way that the Trey Lance situation went down was that Adam Peters, John Lynch, and all these other guys in the organization wanted Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan and some other guys were like, no, we need
Mac Jones. You don't know that. You just hear all the lies.
This is from local media. This is from the guys that are on the ground, boots on the ground with Kyle Shanahan that have talked to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, believe the lies if you want.
So with that being said, when you look at it from that perspective, you have to look at it from a full level and see like, hey, this is actually, I will say to your point, this is an accident that happened. This it just was. Brock Purdy was not supposed to be the quarterback of the Niners future. He just wasn't. As a Niner fan, I can admit that. But you have him now, right? You have him now, and I think the positive side of it is that maybe Kyle Shanahan didn't want it this way. Maybe this is not how he planned, but that's not how things go. You think the Patriots are like, oh, Tom Brady's gonna be our franchise quarterback? Like you think? Like, come on. Like, come on. The Patriots did not think that a 6th-round pick got around a 4.96 was going to be their franchise quarterback.
I'll tell you this, Joseph, and I genuinely mean this. I mean this, Joseph. I mean this with the passion. I think that Belichick thought more of Tom Brady than Kyle Shanahan thought of Brock Purdy when they drafted him.
But so shout out to I can't think of his name. Peter King. Shout out to Peter King.
And keep in mind, Tom Brady, he what'd you call it? What's his name? Belichick, he made a huge risk. Way more of a risk than benching the number 2 overall pick. He benched the number 1 overall quarterback, number 1 overall pick for the New England Patriots, who going to the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl. He ended up losing the Super Bowl, but he got the Super Bowl. Number 1 pick, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. That's who Brady beat out. Like, so don't give me that crap about how he
but no. We're just talking about the drafting spot because I'm just saying Belichick didn't draft Brady thinking that he was going to be a Tom Brady, a 7-time Super Bowl winning champion.
Oh no, heck no, there's no way.
So when you draft these guys, you're not thinking that Purdy's going to be our guy if Trey Lance doesn't work out. Like that's not what he's thinking. He's not thinking that. I know that for a fact. He's not thinking that.
Well, so they would have drafted him earlier. That's all.
Yeah, I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Going to the last pick of the draft.
So these guys are just like these. At the end of the day, football. I guess what we're saying is to kind of spin it all around.
And I think being lucky is good. I'm not criticizing that, but let's just not lie about the narratives. Tell the truth. We lucked into this. Same way, I'll give you this. Like you see the guy in my background, Andy Reid. Do I think Andy Reid thought that he would go from, hey, he's a coach that we respect. He's fun to play with, but he's not a winner. Like that's what Andy Reid was. Do I think when he drafted Patrick Mahomes, he thought, hey, this is gonna cement me as maybe the greatest quarterback, the greatest coach of all time. No way. I understand that you get lucky with this stuff. Like, but tell the truth about it. That's all I'm saying.
So what are we saying in regards to Brock Purdy? I guess to kind of sum up
Yeah.
our
Yeah, if I was
conversation.
gonna say in short, Joseph, I understand if Brock Purdy gets paid based off what you described and laid out. I think it's perfect, right? Like he's led a team to a Super Bowl. They're always winning. It seems like even when they lose, it's heck of weird. It's a shock. I totally right. Like he's that good. My only pushback is, and I'm saying the same thing for Jared Goff, but I think the expectations for the Lions are should be a lot less
Oh,
than the Niners.
yeah. No, I
Because
agree.
the Niners tell me that they're Niner Nation, they're about championships, even though they haven't won since the '90s. But whatever. Uh, there's a ceiling to what he can do by himself. And before I um pay him, like I would hope I get off to like a 10-0, 11-0 start. And what I want to do is I want to
Before you
sit
pay,
CMC. Yeah, this year. If I'm the Niners, get off to a hot start. Let me sit CMC. Let me sit Debo. Sit Brandon Ayuk. I want to see what he can do by himself before I pay this guy a whole bunch of money. Because I don't personally, I think he'll learn if he hasn't already. I need um someone who I could throw a 2 yard pass to and who can take it for 70 and Debo. I need Christian McCaffrey, just the threat of the play action. And the same thing with Brandon Ayuk. I don't think Brandon Ayuk's all that great. Like, I think he's a great player. That's probably disrespectful. I
yeah.
don't think he's like a top 5, top 10 wide receiver. I don't personally. I
So
but I think he needs Chris McCaffrey. That pump fake, you think a cornerback is like, oh crap, is it a runner pass? Like the safeties can't do anything because they're worried about the play action game. And then while your eyes are in the backfield, Ayuk runs he runs one route. It's across the middle of the field. Whether he's coming from the left to the right or the right to the left. Yeah, I said it,
I did
Mr.
not say I'm
Cross
saying
route.
listen to this.
Yeah,
I
hate on I don't listen to this, okay? It's not gonna be good for you. So uh so while that crossing route is open because of guys like we mentioned, Chris McCaffrey and Kittle. Like there's
yeah, so okay, so my summary, I think I've summed it up in the beginning. I'm not gonna go over it again for conclusion,
go over it again, please.
but I'm just saying Brock Purdy is a guy that we have seen. We know how hard it is to win the NFL. We just do. The NFL is the biggest league in the NFL in the world, and it has the most parity in it for a reason because it's so hard. 53-man rosters, 32 teams. It's just the toughest team sport to win in. So when you look at it from that perspective, when you find your guy, you have to pay him, and you have to show him that you pay him because once you have financial, what's the word? Reassurance, I guess, for lack of better words. It just makes it so you're not playing for money anymore. And not to say Purdy is a guy that's only playing for money because I don't think that's the case. I mean, if that was the case, then his play would be a lot worse than what it is. But I think Purdy, at the end of the day, is the guy that has proven that you can win with him in the locker room. Now, yeah, that may come with some asterisks, like, hey, you know what? You need to give me the receiver in round one. You need to give me the best left tackle in the game. You need to give me the best running back in the game. You need to give me a top 10, top 5 defense in the game. Like, you need to give me one of the best head coaches in the game. Like, so you need to give me these 5 key factors, and I will get you in NFC Championship game at minimum. That's what he has proven so far
Mm-hmm.
in his time not getting paid. Getting paid whatever he's getting paid.
Yeah.
So when you sum up that, they say, okay, kind of reason it out, you get your calculator out saying like, hey, you know what? Okay, let's pay Purdy the $50 million. Is he really gonna, because I mean, one thing we didn't talk about is the salary cap increasing and how much it increased this year in terms of the percentage of how much the
I go ahead. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
no, no,
Thought
no. I'm
that
just
was
saying like
yours.
how much the quarterback salary is getting larger, but so is the salary cap for the NFL teams. So him getting paid $53 million is not the same as him getting paid $53 million. Even last year. I mean, the salary cap I think rose by like 50,
Yeah,
$50 million.
sorry. I got to interrupt, man. I don't think you do deals based off, hey, the salary cap may or may not increase.
I mean, that's what the NBA did. I mean,
Yeah, and then look at all the mistakes out there. Zach Levine's balling. He's paid more than LeBron. And you're like, that dude, come on. Sorry, Zach Levine.
No, I mean, no, I mean, you bring up a good
Bradley
point.
Bill.
So I just want to
Rudy Gobert.
so I just
Getting
want to
paid $40-something to
I'm
get
gonna share
thrown
I'm
on
gonna
his
share
butt by Jokic.
I want the viewers to
So, but hey, if the Niners do it, what you're hoping to though, Joseph, is Purdy, and he's been a real grown up in the room. Yeah, I think you got to acknowledge that too. And he's gotten better, right? Like I think he gets better each game. It shows. Or if he does kind of have a Vikings game, he doesn't. It doesn't like linger into other games. It seems like he kind of lets it go 3-4 bad games, like he did Browns, Vikings, and then he comes back.
sorry, I'm just trying to. So when you look at it from like the salary cap angle, right? So this salary cap is gonna be $255 million this year, right? Next year, this is an estimate. It's gonna be 273, so it's gonna go up by such and such number, right? Niners, if you look at it, Niners are already over their cap, so I'm not gonna go into detail about that. But I'm just talking
Mm.
about just Brock Purdy's salary, right? Once it hits the pocket, it's gonna be at this term, 2026, right? It's estimated that's gonna be $292 million. Most likely, it's gonna be $300 million in cap space. But
Or it could be 280. Then what do you do?
no, it's not gonna be 280. There's no way. Look how much the
What?
salary cap has increased, Zachary.
You don't. We don't know.
255 to two. No, because we do know because we know that the NFL TV revenue is not going to go down. It's going to go up. Like these
Yeah,
teams
but you don't.
are
What if
going to
it's
go
another
up.
what if it's another pandemic or something?
Amazon's going to not. I mean, Amazon's going to continue to pay us or pay the NFL. The partnerships are going to
I,
go up. Ticket sales are going to go up. Like
I feel like this
NFL
is
is
gonna
not
be.
seeing a decrease in salary cap in terms of the percentage going up. It's just not going to
When's the
happen.
last time? Can you do this for me? When's the last time there was a decrease?
Probably be the lockout year.
Can you
But
go through the? You can go through the list and see, right?
let's see. I'm just trying to find the year, so I won't be like
Oh, I
wasting.
can do it. I found your site.
Because
So
once
2020 to 2021, it was the COVID year,
oh, but yeah, well, I
right?
think there was a lockout year in 2011, right? And the salary cap only went up to it went up $225,000. So this year right here, let me share my screen real quick. You want to share your screen? I'll share my
No,
screen.
I'm good.
So
Yeah,
like
it's
this
just
year right
interesting to
here,
see.
I
It's like
believe this was the lockout season, but right here it went from 120,375 to 120,600. I think this was a lockout year, but I'm not positive. Um, but to your point, the
But
COVID,
yeah, to your point though, Joseph, it went up like at least 12. I saw.
yeah, but yeah. So the COVID year, you said, oh, but yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. You said it decreased by 16 million, but then it went back up by 20 million. Yeah, so I think personally, I just feel like it's not gonna matter too much in terms of just let me stop sharing the screen, but it's not gonna matter too much in terms of how much money Purdy's getting paid because what's gonna happen is obviously money's gonna come off the books from other guys, but what's gonna happen is, I mean, is Debo gonna be worth paying him $30 million a year? No,
But
he's
the
not.
salary cap is going up, so you can afford it.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Let's take into account what Debo does, right? So I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that we got to talk about as the season progresses. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Purdy, what do you guys think? Like, will Purdy like most likely Purdy's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL next year. He just is, right? So with that being said, do you guys agree with that? Niner fans, do you guys like that? I mean, because if you do, drop it down in the comments. Let us know. You have anything else to talk about today, Zachary?
That's it. Just
All
football.
right. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, please like, subscribe, and share. And thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys next time.